Big disclaimer, anything I say that is my own experience does not reflect the values and morals of religions that I mention within this video. My experiences within the religious community have been both positive and negative. And in this video, I want to be clear that I am not strictly taking a side when it comes to the explanations of my analysis. I'm just taking my experiences and my knowledge with the knowledge I've looked up myself and combining it to connect these lyrics to find the meaning. Please be kind within the comments and please be kind to each other. Hi everyone, my name is Carrie, and something that I am pretty known for in my family is analyzing everything. Every piece of media, like artworks, song lyrics, movie scenes, even the way I see people act in real life, their actions, I analyze everything. I once saw a husband and wife, the husband had his hands in his pockets, he was looking down at the ground while walking, and the wife had her arm slung, through his this. And I was just like, oh my God, Mom, look at that. Do you think he really even loves her? He's not even holding her hand. Come on. And she just looked at me, laughed, and quietly said, you're overthinking. Which is another big thing I'm known for. And speaking of things I love to analyze, my most favorite thing to analyze though are song lyrics, especially the modern poet herself, Taylor Swift's lyrics. I think it all started when I listened to folklore for the very first time, and here's a little background for those who need to know where I was or where I am kind of in my Taylor Swift or Swiftie phase era, whatever. I remember listening, hearing The Archer and I think Lover on the radio, so it was 2019, I think about to be 2020, at least, obviously a year before, but at that point I was like, this is Taylor Swift? I was just like, I don't like this one, you know, this isn't her best song, and Lover's, the song Lover is not really my favorite. Anyways, fact of the matter is, I was just like, oh, it made me, but it made me realize that I hadn't listened to Taylor in forever. At least looking back, I realized at that point when I first heard Lover on the radio, I hadn't listened to Taylor in so long. I don't know, I blame me changing, I was a teenager, I was in high school, and that was a whole other experience. Not that it was terrible, I'm being dramatic, but I didn't like the whole, structure of high school. It's a societal structure, Everyone wants to be popular, everyone needs to be, I was over it. I was over it the very first day of freshman year. Whew. But I also realized that during that year, especially when COVID kind of happened, and then after, when I look back, I realized that I had stopped watching my favorite YouTubers. I stopped doing things I loved. Watching Markiplier, and I don't want to say I wasn't happy. Who was happy during COVID? But I just felt lost. And I think that being sheltered within my house, with my family, it was weird. I didn't feel looking back now, just thinking about it now, I'm like, oh my gosh. How did I not watch Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, to keep me, entertained, to feel I had the sense of, normalcy again? I cannot believe I did that. But after COVID, I got back into Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, and I started watching YouTubers and creators that I didn't think I would such as, Game Grumps, and I freaking love the Game Grumps now. I love the Game Grumps, and I freaking love, watching Markiplier's greatest friends, My Skirm and Lord Minion 777. Go away, you're still in Ohio. You know what, Wade, you give me hope. It was a weird time. It was a weird time. So, falling back into Taylor Swift, because I knew Fearless, I knew some stuff from Speak Now, definitely knew stuff from Debut, Red, of course, but yeah, 1989. 1989, I actually listened a lot when I think I was scared to call myself a Swiftie. It was that time, 1989 time, I think, where everyone was scared to be a Swiftie, and it was inner misogynist and like some girls being like, yeah, I don't listen to Taylor. Yeah, like that's stupid. And you know what? I think that's fair to say we've all been there at one point. Let me get into like the basis, foundation, whatever for this video. And I'm sorry, I am looking at a script. That's why you can probably see it illuminating my face. I'm not so sure. I'll only see it in playback. So speaking of COVID, like there was like everything was COVID. Everyone was talking about it. I mean, it was like you breathe and everyone's like COVID, you know. It was life-changing. I will say that. It was life-changing for many people, for everybody. There's this like phrase. I don't know, is that what you want to call it? I just hear this a lot. Especially when COVID pops up or like large life-altering events like COVID. But the phrase or whatever you want to call it goes, in the event of a crisis, people turn to faith. I'm just going to get personal here. For me, I've never felt that I needed to turn to my religion or religion in general as a last resort. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Maybe I'm just not at the point in my life when I feel like I should really be in tune or like, I mean, I'm about to turn 22. Do I really need to say I've hit rock bottom? No, but you know, we feel like we're just in like the deepest rut that none of us can get out of, even with our like supportive community, friends, family around us, like trying to encourage us to get out, like, and then trying to help us get out. You know, you just feel like that sometimes. And if you're in your 20s too, or younger, hopefully not too young watching this video, but a lot of people keep telling me that I'm young, I'm in college, I'm learning new things, I'm having feelings, and I don't know. It's just, I find faith in different ways, but I find faith, like, I kind of see it as like good karma, and that's not a play on Taylor Swift. But I literally, like, when something great happens to my family members or my friends, I'm like, wow, the universe is being so kind to you. Like, that's awesome. Because when I say I'm spiritual, I always have to be like, but I'm not like, you know, oh, if that makes any sense what I just said about my experience with faith and stuff, what I'm doing, good. And I just want to say that if you believe that you do have a strong faith and you're with like present and active within your religious community, that's awesome. I really do envy you. Like, I'm not lying. I think that's pretty cool. Going off of that, being if you're so involved with your community, as the disclaimer states, I will reiterate it. Some explanations of the analysis I give come from stories I have experienced myself. So I can understand what Taylor means and not to take her words literally, which is what I've seen from certain individuals within the religious community, because they say that Taylor has offended their beliefs. So my experience, you know, what kind of credit do I have? Well, I went to a Catholic elementary school, the same Catholic elementary school all my life, from pre-K to 8th grade. I attended a Marianist Catholic high school. If you don't know what a Marianist is, look it up. Now this is crazy. I am now technically a senior at a Catholic Marianist college, which I will say is very progressive, such as having like a building, like a safe space, events, and hosting a full week of celebrating LGBTQIA plus events, milestones, you know, whatever is going on within community. For one example, they celebrate Transgender Visibility Awareness Week, and they have like they have white, blue, and pink flowers planted alongside one of the walkways that everyone takes to go to class along campus, and I just think that's pretty cool. I will say that there are some ideologies that the school still has a big opinion on due to obviously being a Catholic school, but they do promote safe sex and want students to understand the risk of drug use and excessive alcohol intake. But you know, everyone is taking steps towards a great, bigger, more welcoming community, and I mean, I will say this with all my heart that I do believe that my college is extremely welcoming within its community. Like, that's the joke among students. It's like everyone's like, oh yeah, community. And the biggest thing that everyone says, like, for example, is like, we hold doors for each other. We hold open doors for each other. If you know which school I'm talking about, then you know. All right, but without further ado, I think it's time to jump into my favorite thing to do, one of my favorite things to do, and analyze some Taylor Swift lyrics. So as the title of this video says, I will be looking into the Tortured Poets Department, her 11th album. And when listening to this album, immediately I picked up on all the religious imagery. Obviously, you can even tie that into the marriage references, the having children references, but you know, that's also because, you know, as fans, we do know Taylor. And, you know, I mean, just in general, who wouldn't, like, who doesn't, you know, if you have dreams of getting married and having kids or just one or the other, like, that's awesome, you know? That's cool. But I specifically do want to focus on, like, just religious imagery in itself. Just anything that mentions something sacred, holy, okay, that's kind of the same thing, sacrifice, just anything that kind of says, like, Lord, God, like, you know. So, first off, I have So Long London. You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar waiting for the proof. You sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days. I want to say this real quick. I originally had a video planned to analyze why Taylor described her partners, specifically Joe, especially as blue, which is found a lot in Reputation and Lover, especially, a little more so Lover. It all begins there from those two albums because blue is then a huge color in folklore. And I've referenced Hits Different here for Midnights, but folklore, I mean, off the top of my head, hoax, peace, well, more so hoax. I think Taylor definitely has some sort of like synesthesia or like, I don't want to assume, but she's kind of like me in the, well, okay, my mom said this, and my mom is never wrong, but my mom, we were talking about this, and she said, you know, you kind of do that when I do. And I realized, oh my God, yes I do. Like, I associate people with a color. I associate my original characters with colors. You know, maybe that's a little bit of a, well, duh, we all do, because you've heard of, like, you're the blue character, you're the green character. But I do, and, like, I would associate, I remember my neighbor, when we were younger, I would associate his name with brownies, because his name just made me think of brownies, and it does not rhyme with brownies. It does not rhyme with anything. It starts with a B, but first time I heard his name, I was like, he's brownies. Like, what? But anyways, maybe someday I'll get to reveal those notes that I have analyzing why Taylor calls Joe and her relationships, the people in those relationships, blue. Or why she personifies the color as like a person, or more with feeling and such, you know? Going off on that little tangent about analyzing why Taylor uses blue. So you sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days. So obviously blue references sadness. I mean, that is like, come on, like how do you not know that? But Taylor has sang it in songs that she would take the sadness that her partner carries and put it on her own shoulders. Sort of like being sad together, but not in like the, I don't want to say pick me, but not in like the gross, like, we'll be sad together, that's why we're just so in love, like, With Taylor, I find that she says that, like, finding happiness that they're sharing within the sadness, like that they see each other and that they understand each other. And like, I say it right here that it makes them like one person. Now, I don't know if I should go back on that. No, it's just what I said here, and it's in my notes. It's like, it's true love where both individuals in a relationship understand each other. And, you know, Taylor herself has connected her being, her form, to blue. How she, like I said, how she feels, how her heart is feeling, you know, metaphorically. Kind of like in Dancing with Our Hands Tied, where she's like, my love had been frozen, deep blue, but you painted me golden. And I mean, that's a whole thing I could go into. That song is on my blue analysis notes. So with this in mind, Taylor states that this partner swore that they loved her, but never gave any sign, abstract or physical, that this was true. And I don't mean physical, probably like hugs or kisses, but like, you know, just like, maybe I should have just said abstract, but there was no step for that person who she shared a relationship with to, you know, take the next step, to like have the want, have the determination, or just the dream of marrying her like she did have that, like she had that dream for them. So they never met in the middle. So it just kind of is like, what was this all for then? Taylor establishing that the relationship as being sacrificed to the gods means that her partner, with no sign or proof that they wanted to be with her for the rest of their life, threw out everything they both had built because, like I said, they either didn't make a move, like, take that step, take that, like, show that they wanted to be with her, or that maybe they just didn't want to get married, or, and this is a rumor, they wanted Taylor to settle down for a bit. And I'm calling that a rumor because you remember when Taylor and Joe broke up last spring, I think just a little bit after, like a day or two after, a news source close to Taylor or someone came out and said that Joe was jealous of Taylor's success. And I don't know, maybe I'm mixing up what I heard from news sources and fans on Twitter. Nice research, Carrie. That Joe wanted her to settle down, which leads us, I guess, into the next song that Twitter had me on board for when the track list for Tortured Poets was released, thinking that But Daddy, I Love Him was a reference to The Little Mermaid, and that this song was going to be about how, Taylor doesn't want to give up her voice. She doesn't want to give up singing. Like, she thrives off it. And I truly feel like it's obvious that you can see that she doesn't do it because she's like, I need more money, I need more money, I need more. I don't think it's like killing her. Like, she's not killing herself. Like, she is truly having the time of her life. I can do it with a broken heart flashbacks. But she truly does love what she's doing. And then when I heard it for the first time, I was like, huh? What? Which you can see my reaction. I'll have it somewhere in the corner, in the little eye, whatever it's called. So, But Daddy, I Love Him. Time for this analysis. This song has the most lines that I chose to dissect. I just learned these people only raise you to cage you. Sarah's and Hannah's in their Sunday best, clutching their pearls, sighing, what a mess. I just learned these people try and save you 'cause they hate you. So I think this took me... Okay, so I understood, obviously, the religious imagery within this, but it even took some time, just a little bit. Not too long, because that would be embarrassing. It took me a second to realize, oh my gosh, this is about certain Swifties who want Taylor to act and be like who they envision, And let me just read my notes, because I almost went off on a... I gotta stay focused. I gotta stay on a path. So this is a personification of Swifties as the self-righteous individuals you see within a church community. These individuals want everything their way, but then claim that ideas and concepts in the world are offensive to their beliefs. They're the ones who can't disagree with someone and be able to move on with the world, because humans are humans. I learned in sociology that humans are the hardest subjects to study because we change behaviors. And yes, we can think rationally, but certain environmental factors, possibly such as getting out of a 6-year relationship or being in a negative, toxic household, or just a toxic relationship in general, our own thoughts and feelings can send us into a spiral. I have been there before. Not a toxic relationship or a 6-year relationship, or just having an environment that is so unhealthy. I've done this to myself, with worry, with anxiety. It gets crazy. I don't think Taylor would disagree that Matt Healy was a rebound. They had their whole will they, won't they decade past that I'm still learning about, by the way. And since she knows him, since they've had this past, I have to say that she's not wrong in that short time of being with him and thinking, this is it, he's the one. Because, you hear stories, you have, going back to the thoughts and feelings making you spiral. Who here has not gone through something and be like, nope, it gets better if I do this. Nope, I have faith in them, in me, that this will be great. And then it turns out it's like the worst thing ever. Or like, you're like, oh, that's a little embarrassing. I did that. I've totally have had that. Okay, I've had that. Okay, I'm going to be really putting myself on blast here. I've had that with crushes where I'm like, wow, like, oh, he talked to me and, okay, this is it. No, like, I will say my biggest insecurity is never being with someone. Like, that's my biggest fear. Like, just never having someone who understands me. Like, I have not had a lot of past relationships. And I just worry because, some of my siblings have had more relationships than me. My friends definitely have had more relationships than me. And I just wonder what's like wrong with me. And that's where the spiral happens. So that's what I mean. So moving on, Taylor wants to get married. She wants to have a partner who she can be herself around and have that person understand that she is Taylor Swift. So having the whole world on your back shaking a finger at you for rebounding is just crazy, first and foremost. But everyone else has to realize that she is a human too, which I think is something that does get lost within religion sometimes, At least for me, I felt this kind of feeling before that I wasn't a good kid because I wasn't exactly like Jesus. Like, I was growing up and learning things about myself and fearing that just being a human will send me to hell. Not lying when I say this, that up until high school, I had no idea that just being kind, just being a good human being would get you to heaven. Like I had a friend, I had to have a friend be like, I was like, are you serious? That's it? And she's like, yeah. You just, act like Jesus. Jesus was kind. Yeah. But I had been taught to be like Jesus, like in my head, like kids are so impressionable. I know at 22 or almost 22 that, I see this now. I understand it. But I hate to admit, and it's so embarrassing to say this, that shook my world. Because I was like, I can't be like Jesus. I can't make wine or water into wine. I can't send baskets of fish and bread to hungry people. And granted, kids' memories are kind of, I don't want to say warped, but, you remember things differently probably as a kid than how, let's say, your parents remember, like, falling at the park. You thought it was so high, and your parents were like, no, it was about that much of a fall, That's what I'm getting at here. Disclaimer, my elementary school has had tremendous changes, such as having a whole new staff of teachers. And I think I would be just a little more connected with my faith if I had gone there now. Like if I was a kid, like really young, like first grade or something, I think I would. Let's just say I don't think I'd have the experiences that I'm sharing with right now. Coming back around to the parallels of a church congregation judging Taylor for being human, it's unfortunately a stereotype that I think many people, religious or not, have run into. In the Bible in Genesis, after Adam and Eve ate the apple, they became conscious of themselves. So they truly, in a way, became human because they made mistakes. They made a mistake. I mean, they were perfect until they ate the apple. That is a whole other thing I can go into. Okay, Eve is not to blame. She wanted knowledge. She wanted wisdom. Like, I gotta get off my soapbox. So, the fans that are judging Taylor for being with Matt Healy can't say that they're better. And they're basing her character and personality on him. Granted, I can understand why. Believe me. I know. I do. However, I saw many comments under, like, one post, which I will get to, that, says, like, everyone was saying, why does it matter to them? Like, yeah, they love Taylor, but why does who she date change how they feel about her? Like, like, who knows? Like, people could not like Travis Kelce, but all of a sudden they do because he's not Matt Healy. And I didn't know much about Matt Healy before, but let's just say, not my type. Sorry, y'all, I have to get a drink. Ooh. Whew. Sorry, y'all, I had to get a drink. Diet Coke. Sponsor? So going off on like the self-righteous, the harshly judging fans that wanted Taylor to break up with Maddie, they wanted Taylor to act and be made in their image and likeness. Now, isn't there some kind of Bible quote that says something about image and likeness? And isn't there like a pretty big figure, religious figure, high being, supreme power being, who made every single person in his and their image and likeness? Interesting. So something I mentioned earlier was the fact that some comments, were saying like, oh, well, who cares who Taylor dates? Like, well, how does that affect my life? That it was under a specific post. So let me read the lyric that I'm going to explain this post about. Soon enough, the elders had convened down at the city hall. Stay away from her. The saboteurs protested too much. Lord knows the words we never heard. So I could have had this quote lumped in with what I just said above, but I wanted to have its own little spotlight. It was the hashtag Speak Up Now that certain Swifties began in order for Taylor to break it off with Matt Healy, as if she didn't know all the things about him. And I mean, okay, that is really hard to say, because obviously I don't know what Taylor knew. I don't know what she didn't. Also, what am I gonna do? DM her? Be like, girl, how could you? No. So those certain Swifties, like I said, wanted Taylor to be in their image and likeness. And they couldn't handle the fact that she was acting out on human tendencies. Like I said, just going back to the whole spiral. I mean, you're lost. Being with someone for 6 years? That is like that is half a decade. That is over the point of being half a decade. Sure, by 1 year, but yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do either. The last relationship I had where I broke it off with my boyfriend, I was trying to find myself again. Like, I mean, I wasn't sad, and that sounds really mean, but I mean, it did get sad because then I was like, oh, I don't have that person anymore. Like, my mind had actually warped this person to be better in my mind. I liked the idea of this person. I turned him into something different in my mind, and I'll talk about that later. Human tendencies, like she was in a 6-year relationship. How is one supposed to act when it's over? Could have been 2 years. Probably the same thing would have happened. I know people who were like that in a 2-year relationship. It's an unfortunate distraction. It's not a healthy one, but it gives the individual, it does give the individual time to realize that this isn't how it works. This isn't how you should heal. And everything they envisioned with the person, what they talked about with the person, isn't going to happen. And it hits them, and then they realize, like, this is not good. I think I'm really repeating myself at this point. The next lyric I have is, I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empath's clothes. Ooh, lisp is coming in strong. I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empath's clothing. I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empath's clothing. God save the most judgmental Greek who say they want what's best for me, sanctimoniously performing soliloquies I'll never see. I'm just repeating myself at this point. I mean, I envisioned, with empath's clothing, I envisioned these old-fashioned church clothes where the older women wear big frilly hats with lace and flowers, because you want to look nice for church, right? And image and looks are a big part of these self-righteous Swifties and congregation members. Some of them, of course. Okay, I do have one big quote, or one big analysis for one quote for Guilty as Sin. What if I roll the stone away? They're gonna crucify me anyway. What if the way you hold me is actually what's holy? If long-suffering propriety is what they want from me, they don't know how you've haunted me so stunningly. I choose you and me religiously. First off, I just have to say this was beautiful when I first heard these lyrics. Like, I wish my ears could be blessed to hear it again. Oh, for the first time. Oh my God. Although Cardigan was still pretty mind-altering for me. Like, the chemicals in my brain literally went, whoa. So, What If I Roll the Stone Away is obviously a parallel of Jesus being buried in the tomb. And she is not, okay, she's not comparing herself to Jesus. Not comparing herself to Jesus. It's like a rebirth for her after her time with Maddie. I actually envisioned this line like she's peeking out from a corner, like of a room where there are people waiting for her to make an appearance, for her to reappear back in society, and are just waiting for her to scrutinize and scold and belittle her for her choices. So that's how I imagine it, which goes into the whole they're gonna crucify me anyways. They're gonna crucify her, meaning they are going to scrutinize, belittle, diminish all the negatives. They are just waiting to tear her down. I think this line also shows that no matter what, Taylor, being a woman, being a successful woman, she will always have the media and fans scrutinizing her. They will always be there to tear her down no matter what she's doing. If it's a rebound, if it's dating, if it's walking down the street. I think she also used the word crucify to show that for her whole career, when she started dating other celebrities and music artists, but you know, the media doesn't react the same way to a man having many relationships, a male music artist having so many girlfriends one after another. But of course it's, you know, bad and slutty when a woman, specifically Taylor Swift, does that. It also makes me think back to her song Slut. The man won't, so he won't be crucified. So back to the lyric, I'm gonna just repeat this one part. If long-suffering propriety is what they want from me, they don't know how you haunted me so stunningly. I choose you and me religiously. She truly just wants the love like everyone deserves. Like I mentioned earlier, you get into your own head, these psychological like spins, like this downward spiral. That's what I'm trying to say. Of like, no, this person is for me. This is who I want to love. This is who I will love. How'd that turn out? So Taylor connects how she feels to people she dates as or like religion. The love she shares with that person in the relationship is something so holy and truly spiritual that no one can change that, because it's what she believes. It's her beliefs as an individual, as the person in the relationship. Is this just not getting a little more ironic that those who believe they are offended are listening to lyrics of Taylor saying, these are my beliefs. This is what I believe. Oh! I had this conversation with my mom today. It's been a few days since I last recorded. I told her exactly this and she was just like, what? She goes, it's crazy. And you know, she always has a spiel about social media. I'm sure a lot of parents do. But I mean, she understands it. Her, who believes in a supreme being, a higher power, the capital G God, she thought that it's insane that people don't understand the metaphors that Taylor has. If she loves Taylor, she is like, before me, my mother is the biggest Swiftie, okay? You will not catch her ever hating or losing faith in Miss Swift. So I think it's time to finally move on to I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. The first lyric I want to break down is, he had a halo of the highest grade. He just hadn't met me yet. So I realized something as I was writing these down on my laptop, but I think I'll just get into it and you'll see like my thought process. This is interesting because many know that a religious figure has a halo around their head. Like, you know, when a saint or an angel, you know that, oh, that's something sacred. Or even with wings, like cherubs, like you're like, oh, I think that's something religious. You know, I think that's something that pertains to something spiritual, something holy, something pious. Two thoughts struck me when I was analyzing this lyric. One, so Taylor is saying that He, the person she thinks she can fix, had a halo that was of the highest grade, obviously meaning that it was great quality, but that he hadn't met her yet. So it's turning itself on its head, saying that Taylor was going to be the one to taint his halo and ruin him. Interesting, right? So the second thought I had, you really have to focus on the past tense of the words used in this one lyric. He had a halo of the highest grade, meaning that at one point, maybe he had a great quality, like about his character, about his traits, his personality. So then Taylor would be the one to turn him back into that pure character after being this edgy, dark. She's saying that she'll be the one to turn his halo back into great quality. That lyric strikes me every single time. I just love it. So the second thought is clearly what the song is about, but I kind of like the meaning of the prior thought, but I don't know. Tell me what y'all think about that. The next lyric I have is, they shake their heads saying, God help her, when I tell them he's my man. But your good Lord doesn't need to lift a finger. I can fix him. No, really, I can. This line is being used to explain how some possible imaginary or abstract being is not the one to fix the person Taylor loves, but believes that she is the one that can fix him. And this gives off the implication that she believes she can fix him and that he has some good left in him, or maybe she can pull that good back into being his whole personality. I feel like this line really shows that it's about believing that something can truly happen, like you really can change a person, and that you want to prove everyone who's saying, oh, God help her, you want to prove those people wrong. Making this person into what you want in order to show everyone else is your mission. I just feel like at this point I should be saying, like, tell me something I don't know, or you guys are saying, tell me something I don't know. The last lyric I want to analyze in I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can is, good boy, that's right, come close, I'll show you heaven if you'll be an angel, all mine. Trust me, I can handle me a dangerous man. No, really, I can. So, okay, first of all, I love this part of the song. I love how she says, good boy, that's right. Like, I will... Calling someone a good boy is a positive response to reacting to an order or command, being rewarded for something done correctly by the power of positive reinforcement. Obviously, think of pets. If you have a male dog, what do you say when he uses the restroom? What do you say when he does a trick? Good boy. I feel like she's also saying it as if he's agreeing with her, you know? Like, that's right, you're a good boy. And if he keeps it up, she'll show him the wonders and positives of what can happen when being the way she's tried to transform him in order to be with her and show everyone that she fixed him. I feel like in that fantasy, Taylor thinking, oh, I'm gonna fix him, and that he's fixed, she will be able to show the crowd who are mourning her decision. I see that as a I told you so moment, which doesn't really sit well with me, but that's the point. That's the point. And then I think that's the realization of, whoa, maybe I can't. Whoa. I mean, probably also having to do with a bunch of other things that her man does. But that's how I interpret it. The next song I want to analyze is Loss of My Life. There are times where I say love of my life, but it's loss of my life. That's how I'm gonna say it. You low down boy, you stand up guy. Holy Ghost, you told me I'm the love of your life. Taylor was told by the person she was dating that she was the love of their life. And now this partner and her have broken up or parted ways. So to her, he is a ghost. And she has labeled him as a Holy Ghost to emphasize just how important he was to her. So everything I just said earlier and now about this connection and use of metaphors, that you have to see it by now. You have to understand that he was something so pure and great to her that he still might be holy to her, but now that they've broken up and parted ways, he's a ghost. When your impressionist paintings of heaven turned out to be fakes, well, you took me to hell too. So to me, this sounds like the phrase, you liked the idea of me, or you turned me into an idea of sorts. It portrays how the relationship first looked and felt all dreamy and perfect like heaven. But when Taylor realized that the feelings that she and her partner had for each other fizzled out or just completely dropped dead, she realized that everything they showed her, everything that that person did for her was because their relationship was just an idea. Like, you know, their relationship was just their relationship, you know, like you're in this relationship and it's like, oh, gotta do something. It's so nonchalant that it's depressing. One person giving their all in a relationship and the other just being like, cool, yeah, we're dating. Come on, give something back, do something, babe, say something. Like, I can't. And so basically, I think that's how the partner let Taylor go on for so long being with them. Now, I'm not saying the partner cornered Taylor into being like, we're gonna date for half a decade. No, it's just, you know, she had all these dreams and fantasies about them being together forever, and he was just there. Yeah, that's how I think this line really captures just how dreamy a relationship can be, like heaven, something perfect, something pure, something that will last eternally. Then he took her to hell. Just showing the realization, like Taylor realizing like, whoa, this was just kind of there. This was an idea. Now it's just kind of dying. In Taylor's defense, I mean, how Taylor feels about all this, it could have felt like she was ending up in hell, that he took her by the hand and led her there. Maybe not even realizing it, you know? All right, so the last song I want to analyze for this video is Clara Bow. So, okay, I preface this underneath my notes. It's my very first note. I could talk about Clara Bow on and on. I could analyze this thing, not for its religious imagery, but for so much more that I could do. Okay, let me stop myself. Let me just get into what I wrote. The lyric I chose, and it's the only lyric because this is the lyric I see that a lot of self-righteous individuals are mad at. The crown is stained, but you're the real queen. Flesh and blood amongst war machines. You're the new god we're worshipping. Promise to be dazzling. It's pretty obvious that Clara Bow shines a light on how young women in the entertainment industry are put in the spotlight one after another. When their girlish glow, their youth, starts to fade. And then the industry just throws them away. They don't care about them anymore. They don't want to help them. So Taylor, using Clara Bow and Stevie Nicks as real metaphors for this continuing verse by explaining how, since Stevie is now in the light, so going from Clara Bow to Stevie Nicks was now in the light in 1975, like huge. And so being that woman of your time, kind of like Time Magazine's Person of the Year or something, for example, everyone is looking at you. Everyone is waiting for your next move. Everyone is waiting for you to surprise them, which is why the lyric is used as a metaphor for saying, so she is the woman that everyone on earth is worshiping because they are waiting for her to shock them next. They are waiting for her, for Clara Bow, for Stevie Nicks, for Taylor Swift to love and entertain and to bring in money. At least the industry wants her to. It's also extremely vital to show that the God mentioned in these lyrics is lowercase. So people getting mad at this really shouldn't be, because it's not capital G God. And I learned that from reading Percy Jackson. So in book 1, where he finds out that he's a demigod and he's at Camp Half-Blood, he's talking to Chiron, and Chiron's saying, the gods are real, you know? And Percy's like capital G God? And I've used that and I've had that in my head like ever since because I thought it was so funny and real and a good way to show that Rick Riordan, I don't know how to say your last name, but I love you in your books very much, sir. He is showing that this is not offensive. What he is writing about is not going to harp on other religions, and he just wants to take something that's been around for centuries, for a millennia, into something creative. And that's what Taylor does when she writes about lowercase God. So in her mind, she's like this divinity in another religion, in a separate religion, a separate belief system, where people are waiting for her to act, to create a miracle, to change something and make the world better. Okay, that was a little more on the religious side, but you understand what I mean, right? And here's the thing, capital G God refers to monotheistic religions. So Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, I think I said Christian already. They don't use lowercase g for God. He's like a person to them. Like, you know, they believe that he is real, that he is a real person. Using lowercase God means that it's a myth. Think of it. Greek gods, Roman gods, I think Hawaiian gods. I'm losing a bunch of other gods right now. What is that word? Nordic gods. Basically, anything polytheistic has lowercase g. Taylor is not replacing herself or stating that she is anywhere near capital G God. Nor is she saying the same thing about Clara Bow or Stevie Nicks. It's all a metaphor. Taylor and these two other remarkable, talented, successful women have to continue to dazzle, continue to be loved, continue to shock and amaze everybody. But they're just women getting played by a system who probably hates them. The three women in the song are made to feel like they cannot fail or come undone at their seams, because then the industry will just replace them. God, this song is so good, and there's so much imagery versus religious imagery. Just, oh God, I could analyze every single song in this album and the anthology forever. That's my time. Those are all the songs that I found with religious imagery within the Tortured Poets department. Tell me what you think, and tell me if you'd like to see me analyze any other songs or things I missed in songs in the Tortured Poets department. Lyrics that I may have overlooked thinking, oh, that won't fit. Because I did have a few from the anthology in here, but I was like, I mean, obviously it's too on the nose, you know, but some of these songs were too on the nose and I still talked about them. But I'd do it again. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!